It did cause it caused some complications.
Oh,
I was supposed to do shopping in mass yesterday.
okay.
And it is now a week from Christmas, and I have done exactly 0 of the shopping.
Oh, you're dead.
Yeah,
you're dead.
So I gotta. Today is when we get off the show.
You got to go do the damn thing.
Yeah,
boy. That is a horrifying feeling. Do you have a lot of people to shop for?
So my wife and I do it where she does the women, I do the men in the family, because it's an even number.
Oh, okay.
It makes it very, very simple.
Okay.
So it's not a ton. So you got brother-in-law.
I mean, you don't need to do the count,
I'm just
but it's okay. So you just have to
6.
shop for dudes, though, which is
super easy.
It is easy, but it can also be hard too because there's also times you're like, I don't know what he wants. I don't know what dudes want.
See, I know what they all want.
Really?
Yeah. So all of
folks you dealing with here?
Brother-in-law's a rugby player, so he always wants some sort of athletic apparel. It's very, very simple.
Okay.
Father-in-law is a sweater guy.
Okay.
So I get him a really nice
sweater.
Yeah, like a quarter
fancy
zip.
lad.
Yeah, the little quarter zip.
Okay,
He's
that's good.
Also big into pickleball. So I have.
The olds are.
Yeah, so I can if I don't find a sweater that I like, I can deviate that way.
Yeah.
And the nephew, man, it's a nephew. Like they tell you what they want.
How old is he?
5.
5.
Yeah.
You should do a solid and text those parents and just be like,
already
hey, man,
did. Got the list.
You got to make sure
That way we don't
that
get
you're
the
not
overlap.
overlapping. Yep. You don't want to step on Santa's toes.
Yep. Nope. I always
make
make sure that when it comes.
See,
to
that's not bad. That's good. You got a good little thing going.
Yeah. No, I know. And then my dad, I think, easiest person on the planet. He's like me. He's the easiest person on the planet to shop for.
Amazon is huge, and you should do that. That's just get that out of the way early. You don't even need to go. Don't even go out.
My wife rubbed it in my face because she left this morning, taking her presents to work because she was being preemptive of giving her presents to her work family.
Okay.
She normally goes in on Wednesdays, but she's like, well, if I wait till Wednesday, then the people won't get their presents until after Christmas.
Wow, that is very thoughtful.
That is my wife in a nutshell. She is the most thoughtful person that I've ever met.
Well, it makes up for you, being a soulless criminal.
Yes. See, opposites attract, all those things. Everything's like, there's like, no, that's not true. Oh, yes, it is.
So you basketballed so hard, you didn't get any of your duties done.
No, I got next to nothing done.
I'll tell you, it was a great weekend for me because it was bowl season. Merry bowl season, everybody. Merry bowl season to you all.
I lightly partook of the early bowl games.
God, it was a train wreck, and I loved every second of it. I also got a lot of FCS playoff action in. You catch any of that Montana North Dakota State game?
Yeah, we had that on in the media room of the game. And,
Double OT?
Yeah, we also
Go Grizz.
The Fresno State New Mexico State game. Somebody remarked about that when it was in the second quarter and I was in the media workroom. And they're like, who's watching this? I go, my co-host.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, what? I go, there's 100% chance that Dusty Hara has this game on right now and is checking.
Well, how could you not?
Yeah, well, this is Dusty during bowl season.
I'm on a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
The drugs being the bowl games.
Yeah, being the foosball.
Inject it in my veins.
Was there a single person in the stands at that game that was
I want this
friends
bean
of-
paste to inject into my face hole.
I didn't do
Wow.
I did. I didn't realize the bean paste thing. I just saw the inject in my face hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to label these better, apparently.
that. Yeah, you do.
It is what it is.
Okay. Was there?
I mean, that game. Yeah.
Was there anybody in the stands where?
At the New Mexico State, Fresno State game. No, that wasn't friends or family.
Yes, because New Mexico State obviously playing in New Mexico, and there was drama. Did you hear about the drama?
No.
Leading into that bowl?
Oh.
So New Mexico State led by Jerry Kill, who wears a poncho. It's just all-time move.
Drug rug.
Yeah, yep, that's right. He wears the drug rug while coaching.
I gotta say, that's the first time I've ever heard that one.
Oh yeah, we went over this the other day, and you Google drug rug, and Google knows. They know exactly what it is. And then you want to go even one step further. You want to go Pedro Pascal drug rug. It shows it like you just Google that, and it's like
Don't
here
even
he
need AI.
is.
Don't even need AI.
I didn't even
It's
know that
there.
was going to happen. Like that would surprise me because I was like, yeah, he looks like a guy who'd wear one. Yep, he's got one. But Jerry Kill, former Minnesota coach, remember he had the seizures.
Yes.
Yeah. He
As one does.
The New Mexico Bowl is at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. This is not in Las Cruces.
So it's not just a clever name?
No, New Mexico State is where Las Cruces is.
Okay.
It's at the University of New Mexico. Rivals, right?
Yeah.
But the New Mexico Bowl is in
New Mexico. Yeah. Well, yes, because we have had bowl games that have not been like wasn't the Rose Bowl COVID Rose Bowl not in the Rose Bowl.
Well, now the Maui Invitational is no longer in Maui.
See? So, yeah, in your face.
Yeah,
why don't you bean paste that into your
They
face?
played
hole?
one of those one year on a battleship.
No, those are cool. Don't get me wrong. Those are battleship games. Yeah.
Cool as hell, but yeah, they played like one of the Maui Invitational games on a battleship. And I was like, oh, that's rad.
International waters, that's a law. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, that's fair. You make it up as you go. As soon as you get 7 miles off the coast.
There we go. So they just go, where are you taking us? Don't worry about it.
Not a crime, 7 miles off the coast.
Don't worry about it.
International waters.
You just don't want to die for that loose ball. But Jerry Kill was calling shenanigans on the New Mexico Bowl because he was like, New Mexico's not letting us use the indoor facility. Apparently it was like cold, windy, like hailing, sleet.
Wait. In New Mexico?
And so he was like, we're coming to a bowl game and you guys aren't going to let us use the indoor facility, but Fresno State apparently had like carte blanche. They could use all of the facilities, go indoors, outdoors.
Oh, full pettiness.
They rolled out the red carpet. So I was like, yeah, I want to see this. And New Mexico State absolutely got drug up and down the field. Yeah. It wasn't worth really watching after the first half because you're like, God, if they would have been able to practice indoors, maybe we would have had a better game.
We had an outdoor game, though, in the North Dakota State-Montana game, and that game got squirrely.
Yeah, you got double overtime, a little double overtime FCS semifinal action.
You know what?
Let's go.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I got me and about 12 other people got incredibly mad after that game. Not about the outcome, but about the broadcast's failure to show one replay.
Yeah.
They did not show a single replay of an absolutely insane play.
Yeah. Well, there were several plays, but I'm wondering if the replay truck got frozen or a grizzly bear attacked it. I don't know. Both things are in play.
That final play, I don't know if you saw either.
That could happen.
Either the wide receiver absolutely flopped or he got entirely crushed in the back of the end zone. And we were like, I'm going to go flopped. I'm going to go with flop. I can go with that.
I'm going to go with flop.
I can go with that, but to not show the replay?
Yeah. You got to do it.
I was just like, what are we doing? Instead, they kept the camera on the slow trickle of the field rush.
Yeah.
It was the most calm. Like, okay, everybody, next in line, come on down, work your way down. It was
Hold on, you gonna jump over? Like, could you imagine how hard that ground is? Hard. It would hurt jumping over the.
Yeah,
the
those
fence.
are hard people, Dusty. They're used to it.
Oh, I don't know. They did show the lady in the stands who wears bearskins though, which gets me. Like, I'm all in on Montana football when I see lady in the stands, and it's not like
head?
That's not a fake bear. She is wearing a bear carcass. She is going Leo DiCaprio full revenant. Yeah, she is like, I don't even think that is like a dressed or dried out skin. She probably just killed that thing. It was like, yep, I'm gonna wear it. And
does it have the head?
I'm in. Yes, it has the head, and then over her arms, it has like the claws and everything. Like, it's awesome. And that lady was at the Furman game too. I'm all in on Montana football right now because there's two things that I noticed when watching that game. And on Friday, we got a little South Dakota State Albany as well. The FCS semifinals are where white guys play football, apparently. It was like a whiteout. You're sitting there, you're like, oh my God.
It's the great white DBs.
What is happening here? Yeah. Like, it's just like a bunch of white guys out there. Like, what? Mm-hmm. What?
Well, to be fair, North Dakota State, Montana.
Yeah, and then South Dakota State, Albany, New York. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah.
Not a location.
It was
of diversity.
I was sitting there just like, oh my gosh. And then you also see the local guys get to play. Mm-hmm. Like Sawyer Racanelli, a kid from just right up the road here.
I'm sorry, that sounds like a made up name.
Nah, he played for UW. He's a Hawkinson Hawks. Is that what they are?
Hawkins? Was he in Stranger Things?
Yeah, Hawkinson Hawks. I think that's where he played.
I think sure.
Yeah, but then like the Green Bay receiver, Samari Toure, he played Westview High School.
Yeah.
It's like you see all the kids that's like, they're not getting recruited by these schools locally, Pac-12. They go and they thrive at Montana.
Well, to be
Eastern
fair,
Washington, Montana State.
The big sky in the what is it? Mid Valley,
Missouri Valley.
Missouri Valley. Those are the two of the best conferences in FCS.
Missouri Valley and the Big Sky are, yeah. And it's not particularly close.
Like those two are.
Yeah.
They kind of run away with stuff every year.
Yeah, Colonial was there when James Madison, but now they're FBS and they're running stuff. But the thing about the FCS playoffs that I love, and especially like when you watch Montana or South Dakota State or North Dakota State, like the schools that are still left, there is no like we wish we were in a bigger place.
No, they love ruling the small pond.
Yeah, Frosty Westring was the coach at PLU for years, and he was a legendary coach. And Frosty always used to say, "Make the big time where you're at."
Yeah,
right.
It's a great mindset.
And there are so many schools that you sit there and you see the appreciation that they have for the level that they're playing at. Like, go to Missoula, Montana, and tell them that winning the FCS title doesn't mean
matter.
anything.
Yeah,
dude, it means everything to that state.
It runs that city.
In Butte, Montana, there's a bar. It's an old like Western bar, and there's like this big wooden pillar there, and with a Bowie knife, after every Cats Grizz game, they just scratch a mark for who wins. Like, it means everything.
Yeah.
And it's FCS football, right? Idaho is a great example of this. Idaho played in the FBS. They started, they were in the Pacific Coast Conference way back in like the 20s. They got relegated down, kept getting knocked down. They go all the way, I think, down to D2, worked their way up to FCS, then the FBS. They were getting their teeth kicked in. They end up going back to the FCS. All of a sudden, the Kibbe Dome is sold out. They're in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, and it means something to them. Like, it's complete. And this is why the FBS should break up, and you should have two divisions within the FBS, because you have your power schools and your non-power schools. At that point, like, just let those other FBS programs, let half of the teams in FBS actually play to win something, because they're not playing to win anything.
Sportsing so hard right now.
I know. But I watched a lot of bowl games.
Yeah.
And I also found
Did you watch any good bowl games?
No.
Okay.
No.
By the way,
no.
Frosty, the name of my childhood dog.
Get out of town. That's a good dog name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
It's a good football coach name, too.
She was a Samoyed.
A what?
A Samoyed, big fluffy white dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a fluffy husky.
I was
Sounds
thinking
like,
maybe they're covered in coconut and chocolate.
No, coconut sucks. We keep that out of our house.
Frosty always would do this Westring that is not your dog.
Yeah.
He would wear a towel around his neck. And during games, he'd start like waving the towel around his head to let his fans know a trick play was coming. The other team knew a trick play was coming too.
They just didn't know what.
Yeah. And he would do it like every game. Like, he'd let them know, here it comes. And they'd go and they'd run their trick play. It usually was successful.
Try to stop it, mofos.
Yeah.
That's a level of arrogance.
That's a badass move,
I
huh?
could get behind.
Yeah, like, here it comes.
We're
And
about
then
to
you're
get
like,
weird.
Uh-oh.
Frosty sounds like he had a third leg.
I just wanted that clean.
Yeah.
That was a funny joke. That was a good joke. I appreciate that joke. I just wanted that a clean drop.
Just went full Austin Powers there. Look at you. It's like a little kickstand.
Carrying on a wheelbarrow everywhere he goes.
We have a bowl game going on right now. It's the famous Toastery Bowl.
Toastery Bowl. Is that one different than the Pop-Tart Bowl?
Well, yeah. Famous Toasteries
Clearly
are
different.
not Pop-Tarts.
It's a toaster
I don't know.
thing.
I don't know, man.
All right.
I don't know. Frozen breakfast foods are big in the bowl. I've learned two things. Military contracted companies and frozen pastries. They're big in the bowl scene.
Do we have the Lockheed Bowl anymore?
I don't know, but there's still the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
There you go. But remember, we had the
And that's not
Lockheed Bowl
frozen.
for a while. The Radiance Technologies has taken over the Lockheed spot.
I don't know. No, I don't want to go that far, because we do have the Armed Forces Bowl at some point.
Yeah, but
and maybe
that's
that
different.
is.
That's not the contractor.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl.
There it is. So
It's the Armed Forces Bowl.
more tax. There you go. More tax money.
Air Force taking on James Madison. Air Force is going to get rolled by James
How
Madison.
dare you?
But
One loss, Air Force.
we have our mustache bets going on for Pac-12 bowl picks. Did you guys go through this weekend as well? Where I've already forgot all my picks. They're sealed in an envelope in the sales manager's office, Ryan Cooley, and I text him. I said, "We are trusting you with this because you're the only trustworthy person in this building." And he said, "I take this very seriously. I will make sure none of the envelopes are taken over or opened." I don't know. We're 2 games into the Pac-12 bowl slate, and I'm pretty confident I'm 2-0.
I think
could
I'm
be
0-2.
0-2. I'm 1-1.
You are?
I'm 0-2. I took a picture of my sheet before I submitted it to Senor Cooley.
I didn't do that. And this is going to be, I was going to say, if all of us played the way that I did, it's going to be like Christmas again for us. Like, we're going to open these things up and be like, woo, look at that.
I thought Boise State won that.
No, they
I
didn't.
did not realize that third quarter happened.
No, they got worked. Ethan Garbers, man. He went off. Gronk was all over with his championship belt. Yeah, it was Bulls have started.
Like I said, I was watching basketball.
Yeah,
So
you
I
were
was-
basketballing.
I looked at the halftime score and I'm like, 16-7 looks like they're handling things. Okay, good.
You were wrong, my friend.
I was mistaken. Clearly.
You were wrong.
But I had Texas Tech
Yeah.
running away by a mile.
It's crappy bowl season, so buckle up, everybody.
By the way, there is also the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com.
So there you go. That's the.
Is that like rollerball pins, or is that like go bowling to like bowl games?
That's Virginia Tech and Tulane next Wednesday.
Boy, throw out the records when those two meet up. What was Virginia Tech's record this year? 7-5?
I need to bring back Beamer Bowl.
Where'd that go here? 6-6.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Not even.
I need some special teams goodness in my life. Bring back Beamer Bowl.
Every year I get amazed at
Yeah,
some of these
we do.
bowl game names and sponsors. Like the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Okay.
Race car wasabi?
Wait, that's at Fenway Park?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume that if they're calling it the Fenway Bowl.
Wait, are they just like wasabi, or are they just like the ingredient wasabi?
I mean,
and
I-
just all of it, or is this a company?
It just says Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Or is this Budweiser? Are they gonna dupe us with a commercial where they bring the what's up? Guys are like, yeah, it's not wasabi, it's what's up, guys again. All right, cool. All right, so that's talking bowls. We got the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl coming up tomorrow. Scooters Coffee. That seems like it's a local coffee place. That'd be like if like Bridge City Coffee sponsored a bowl game. What is Scooters Coffee?
I feel like it's a joint like right outside of Bullwinkle's off of I-5.
Go play some putt-putt.
Yeah.
Go play some putt-putt.
Go race the go-karts on your
coffee.
scooters.
All right. That's talking bowl games. Let's go. We had a wild weekend in NFL too. We got to get to all of it.
By wild, you mean ugly.
Some, most. But it was a fun weekend of football. Yesterday, NFL had me. I was all in on the NFL. I had secondary monitors on the triple header. Triple header on Saturday, NFL. Still not a fan of it. Still not a fan. It was better than all the bowl games that we had, but it was still not a fan of it. Most of the quarterbacks, you were like, hey, I think I've seen him play in the Avocados from Mexico Bowl.
100%.
Because we got a lot of backup quarterbacks going on.
Avocados from Mexico.
That's a great commercial with the kid getting benched.
Yeah, it's great.
If you haven't seen it,
Why don't we have more jingles? Jingles are good. They stick in your head.
Jeff Rust.
I don't know. Ask Barry Manilow. He writes most of them,
Jeff Rust is our jingle king here.
except for the song where he says, I write the songs. He didn't write that one, but he writes a bunch of jingles.
But I mean, like, the jingle is dead.
Okay. All right.
And a good jingle is stuck in your head.
I don't know. My daughter might argue the contrary with you, especially towards like Burger King and whatnot.
Oh, dude, Burger
See, that
King.
one is-
Kids go to Burger King now, and they want Burger King based off of those commercials and those commercials alone.
That one doesn't stick in my head.
BK.
Just because it doesn't stick in yours,
I know.
it doesn't for anybody else.
My kids
no,
will.
it's the Whopper, single, triple, double. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids will just pop out of nowhere like they're little ninjas. They'll just like kick out and be like, "You rule!" And you're like, "Ah, where are you?" Like the commercial's just playing during a game and they just come out of nowhere.
Wearing the mask.
Little ankle biters sneaking up on you.
God, terrifying.
When they start wearing the V for Vendetta masks doing that, then you might need to be afraid.
I already am. All right, well, let's start in the NFL. We got the NFL, we got Blazers, we got a little bit of college football too. Week 15 in the NFL wraps up right after us. Eagles in Seattle for the Seahawks right here on the Fan. The playoff push started, though, with spots being snatched up in a proving ground for many, and some failed. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles, huh? Catch the fever. Jalen Hurts, speaking of fevers, Jalen Hurts, you see him getting on that plane?
No.
He had to take a separate flight because he's got the sickness and didn't want to get anybody else sick.
Oh, God.
He didn't want to get anybody else down with the sickness.
Oh, on a Metal Monday. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. But
He opts for the Richard Cheese version.
well, I bet if Hurts makes a trip across the country, I have a feeling he's going to play. But we could see Marcus Mariota ball. David Carr may get his wish.
God,
Marcus Mariota.
that quote was taken out of context, but still, very dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
Cam Newton looking like a soothsayer.
Do you think the
this
NFL
weekend,
loves
that's
it
for sure.
after flexing this game into Monday night that it might be Drew Lock versus Marcus Mariota?
I'm sure they're just fiending over it. Like the crackheads around the park.
I feel like they knew.
Because it was supposed to be Patriots Chiefs tonight.
Yeah, that one wouldn't have been a good one either.
No.
This one is going to be more competitive.
This still has an option to not suck horribly.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of separation, though, this weekend in the NFL because we headed into this weekend with only one playoff spot in hand, and that was the San Francisco 49ers were the only team that had secured a playoff berth. Coming out of this weekend, it's pretty interesting that both the Cowboys and Eagles secured their playoff fates, yet the Cowboys got drubbed by the Buffalo Bills, and the Eagles haven't even played yet. And then the other team that has secured a playoff berth is the Baltimore Ravens at 11-3. And the way that they handled their business last night on Sunday Night Football, they waxed the Jags. And the Jags are now in that spot where we were looking at Buffalo a couple weeks ago going, oh, buddy, you need to start holding on to this thing because Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked right with his ankle. And then now he's in concussion protocol because he got absolutely laid out in the third quarter of that game. And do you see that hit where his head just kind of bam, right off the turf?
You get the whiplash.
And it's really weird that, you have these games and a lot of people, most of the time we sit there and we're like, how do you not know he had a concussion during the game? Well, oftentimes, like, guys will have the onset of symptoms like an hour later, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like you get looked at and you're going to be good.
Perfect example. Jeremy Grant got hit 2 weeks ago now, and he said immediately he was like, "I think I'm okay," and I tried to just keep going, and then it hit, and he was woozy. And obviously, he left the game, but he said he felt okay, and then the next day he was just done.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks. I mean, he just did that's the point of its brain.
Yep.
Concussion is literally your brain slamming up against the inside of your skull.
Ugh. Yeah.
Like think about the science behind that. You're talking about squishy brain matter. Stuff happens. It's like it's not like a muscle where it's like, oh yeah, no, there's a certain amount of tension you have and you can give and take. No, it's a brain pan. It's not a lot of stuff makes sense there.
Yeah. My brother would get those from time to time where it would be like, as the night went on, you're like, uh-oh, you don't seem right, buddy. And that's them. It's weird. Head injuries are very weird. And he's now in concussion protocol. And you have this Jags team that all of a sudden they seem like they may be reeling a little bit because Lamar Jackson and that Ravens team, they've been consistently good all season long. All season long. And now you're looking at it to where they have in the final 3 weeks of the season, this is why the NFL is king and why it's so great. 2 of their final 3 games, we may see the best teams. We maybe see a Super Bowl preview coming up on Christmas Day.
The scheduling here for Christmas Day is just fantastic stuff.
You've got the Ravens going to the 49ers. Okay. And then after that, New Year's Eve, they go to the Miami Dolphins. So you get, in back-to-back weeks, we're going to find out how real this team is and how playoff ready they are because, look, 3-game stretch at Jags, at Niners, against the Dolphins at home.
That's about as tough as it gets.
3 really good games. And right now, Baltimore is looking every bit of that. And San Francisco does too. San Francisco, again, mopped the floor with the Arizona Cardinals. That game was not even close.
It was for a little while. The Cardinals were keeping pace on some boneheaded plays, and obviously the fumble not being over. Did you think that was a fumble?
Yeah.
I did too. I was surprised that they overturned it. Especially after the referee on the broadcast said over and over again, that's a fumble. The ground can cause a fumble. That's a fumble.
21-13 at halftime. Did anybody believe, though, that Arizona was going to win that game or they were in control of that game?
No, but when it was 21-21, I thought, I didn't think they were going to win, but I thought,
It was not 21-20.
no, the fumble. Because it would have been a scoop and score.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When that happened, I was like, I don't think they're going to win this game, but
it could get spicy.
This could get spicy.
Could get spicy.
Instead, they absolutely blow the doors off in the second half.
Yeah, another double-digit win for the 49ers, another double-digit win for the Ravens, and you're sitting there going, all right, the top of the NFL is looking as we thought. Dolphins, they get right and absolutely embarrass the New York Jets, who couldn't move the ball one bit. On Saturday's games, you had the Detroit Lions come out, and I thought Sean Payton was going to kill Russell Wilson.
Rightfully so.
I mean, I don't know really what Russ did except for give the ball to the other team, but you get the feeling that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, that they found a little bit of a groove in the middle half of the season, right? But now we're entering crunch time, and they look exactly like they did at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like they look disjointed offensively. Russ is not the guy making plays anymore. He is the one that is a hindrance to Denver's offense. And then when the defense gives up 42 points, I think we have to look at Detroit and say, look, this team needs home field more than anybody. They're not going to snatch it away from the 49ers, but if they can get 2 home games, they look like a completely different team.
This is what we talked about when they were really rolling, and I said, I wouldn't be shocked, and I know that how crazy it sounds because it's the Lions, but if you somehow saw the Lions end up in an NFC Championship game, I wouldn't bat an eye because the weapons they have, whether it be Gibbs, whether it be Amon-Ra, whether it be Montgomery, whether it be Jameson Williams, like they have so many dudes.
Yep.
You start going, yeah, the defense is banged up. That secondary is, but you have to deal with them on the other side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they're one of the 5 best offenses in the league.
Yeah. I think that's fair to say. I mean, because look, I watched.
Oh, and Laporta, by the way, who gave
Sam Laporta
fits.
Touchdowns after touchdowns after touchdowns. Jared Goff throwing for 5 tutties. Like it was they found their groove against Denver again. Mm-hmm. But when you say the top 5 offenses, like, look, I watched that Kansas City New England game. The Chiefs are not right offensively.
No, they're not.
In their identity has always been multiple, and they will use motion, window dressing, scheme to get guys open. They don't have those guys this year.
It's Rashee Rice, please save us.
What they need to do, and that is a crazy thing to say.
Yes, it's nuts.
But their lack of weapons outside of Travis Kelce, it has turned into an offense that should control the ball a little bit more, but you don't get the feeling that Andy Reid is going to do that. I think they are, but here's the thing. I think they're capable of it, but it's like
I say capable.
Mahomes and Reid you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you have one of the best play callers the NFL has ever seen in Andy Reid, and they're like, no, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing. They don't. Kadarius Toney, I thought Mahomes was going to kill him.
Yeah.
That interception that goes off of Toney's hands and into the arms.
That's the 3rd time this season a ball has hit him in the chest and turned into an interception.
And you cannot rely, including Rice, you cannot rely on the offense to operate as it has over the previous 5 seasons. You can't. They are a different team right now. But they do have, and it looks like Isaiah Pacheco has been cleared. He is going to be back this next weekend. You do have, moving forward, Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, you have got to make it a point to run the damn football. And I think they're going to be okay because their defense can protect them to an extent. It's just not going to be the same Chiefs team that we've become accustomed to seeing.
Truly complementary football. And I don't know if when I say capable, it's more willing.
Willing. And that I'm 100% with you on. But with that being said, if they can adjust, and it's not even a full pivot, if they can just tweak it and say we're going to play to our strengths offensively because we've seen enough now to know Kadarius Toney is not reliable.
Yeah.
You know, Rice is a guy who
bit of a game breaker. He's
playing
not
against
Tyreek Hill, but he's a bit of a game breaker.
But you're also playing yesterday they were playing against the Patriots, which their two top members of the secondary are not playing.
Yeah.
You know, they are shorthanded and just not, as their own safety called them, doo-doo or ass. You lucky we ass. But they're not very good. Your defense can protect you to an extent, and you're not going to lean on your defense. At the end of games, though, come playoff time, if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get back in their bag in those crunch time moments, they're going to be as scary as anybody else. But right now, it looks offensively, they have a little bit of an identity crisis. And on the flip side of that, we saw a lot of teams in this proving ground weekend where some failed spectacularly, but one team may have found that identity offensively. We'll get to that after Rust with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Redtail Golf Center's annual store-wide holiday sale now through December 24th. Details at golfredtail.com. First on The Fan, Week 15 in the NFL wraps up tonight with the Seahawks hosting the Eagles on Monday Night Football right here on The Fan. Coverage starts at 3 o'clock immediately following Danny and Dusty. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. The Seahawks are 3.5-point dogs. Quarterback Geno Smith reportedly a long shot with a groin injury. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts also questionable due to illness, but is expected to give it a go. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reports Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell suffered a torn ACL yesterday against the Jaguars and will miss the rest of the season. Steelers safety DeMonte Kazee has been suspended for the rest of the regular season and any potential playoff games for repeated violations of player safety rules. He was ejected Saturday after an illegal hit that left Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. concussed. And ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports Nick Mullins expected to get his second straight start at quarterback Sunday for the Vikings against the Lions. Trailblazers off tonight after losses to the Mavericks and Warriors over the weekend. They host Kevin Durant and the Suns tomorrow night. Portland has lost 7 straight and 16 of their last 19. At 6-19, they own the league's 4th worst record. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Your favorite fan shows are on YouTube. Mash the subscribe button and like us for live streaming video and 1080 The Fan on demand.
muscles as the double-digit win teams heading into the weekend. But what we saw out of one team was a disastrous fall back to earth. We talked about this last week. The Dallas Cowboys on the road have been a nightmare against good teams. I went and I looked this up. They got manhandled by the Bills yesterday.
And there's not a redemptive quality or note that came out of the game.
You can say the weather was bad, and I don't really care because Buffalo played in it. You can say they were on the road, but this is now a trend. And great teams don't get blasted on the road as frequently as the Dallas Cowboys have. They got beat 31-10.
And it wasn't that close.
It was a game where when Zach Martin went out and that game was 7-0, their offense fell apart completely. And Dak Prescott wasn't looking good before that, but Zach Martin is one of the best guards in football.
Sure.
He goes down, and they could not do anything.
At halftime, Dak was 6 of 13 for 44 yards passing.
And that was in the first quarter. Zach Martin went down. In the first half, they got outgained 351 to 195. And
there's
in the
some mercy
NFL,
yards there at the end, too.
66. Wait, no, that was Russ. I was looking at Russ's stat line. He had 66 of his passing yards were when the game was 35-10. So he had like 150 yards passing while the game was still moderately competitive. But Dak, you're talking about the last one of the final drives where they actually scored a touchdown, where Dak got some of those yards at the end. In the NFL, it is an embarrassment like when you get 200 run on you, right? Like teams take that personally. Buffalo ran for 266 yards. They did not ask Josh Allen to throw the ball because he didn't need to throw the ball. James Cook, Josh Allen, they were all the offense. Ty Johnson had 54 yards shoot. They were all the offense that they needed.
Cook killed him. He only had that. He didn't have a 78-yarder.
No.
He had a 24-yard run, and the rest was just 8 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards, 8 yards. And you're just sitting there going, oh, they're just gashing them on every play.
They got embarrassed on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, on the season, the Dallas Cowboys on the road this year, they are -5 in point differential in their road games.
Which is insane because their overall point differential in the season is what?
164? Is that what
it was going into the weekend? Yeah.
167 is their point differential on the season. Okay. They are -5 on the road. Remember what happened the very first week of the season? They beat the Giants 40-0. They beat the Giants 40-0, and they have a negative point differential on the road this season. In a 40-point win. Okay, they've gotten beat by 32 by the Niners, by 12 by the Cardinals, 5 by the Eagles, and then 21 points by the Buffalo Bills. That cancels out their 40-point win and their 3-point win at the Chargers and their 23-point win against the Panthers.
And we know the Panthers are the worst team in football, and the Chargers suck something fierce.
Like this is if you want a big red flag, because they ain't getting home field again in the playoffs, no matter they have to get 2 games on the 49ers now. That ain't going to happen because they have the head-to-head where that was 42-10. They will have to go on the road and play a really good team. And that was an egg among all eggs. And this is like Packer fans are just sitting there going, yeah, Mike McCarthy, get ready. Feast on teams that aren't very good, but when it comes crunch time, all of a sudden your team is out-schemed and they're outplayed.
It's also Dak's a paper tiger.
But here's the thing about
he's a paper
tiger. Dak has played really well this season.
Sure.
And you can say that. But against great teams, he isn't. But Buffalo isn't even a great team. No. That is a team that the last 2 weeks have played completely differently than they played all season long.
For sure.
And you see that, like we were talking about with Kansas City, right?
The identity started to show through again.
It's not a full-on pivot, but hey, if a defense is going to give it to you, take it.
Quit trying to be cute.
Yeah, and just go and say, no, this is who we'll be today, and then we'll go and we'll beat you another way tomorrow. That is exactly what Buffalo has done, but their defense, it looked a lot better against Dak Prescott, who looked lost at times. And that is you can have red flags or yellow flags, little warning signals throughout the course of a season, and every team has their lulls. But we are now seeing this is consistent among the Dallas Cowboys. You go on the road and you play good teams, you get You get mopped. And now they have to go to Miami, where if Miami's in the same boat. Miami still has not. You know when the last time Miami beat a team with a winning record was?
Last year, like week 12?
No.
Not that far back?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, further back than that.
Oh, God.
It is
It's
further
like
back
week
than
3,
that.
isn't it?
The last team they beat with a winning record was week 3, September 25th, at home against the Buffalo Bills when Buffalo was 2-1. That is the last time that they beat a team with a winning record at the time that they played.
That's wild.
Now, you have the two teams where, I don't know, like, let's pose this question. 503-864-6326, Vancouver Ford text line, or you can comment on the YouTube stream, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. This week, we have Dallas going to Miami.
2 negatives make a positive?
Which team do you have more faith in right now? Danny Dusty on The Fan. Which team do you have faith in more? The team that has not beat a team with a winning record since September 25th of 2022, or the team that has been outscored by 71 points against the Cardinals, Niners, Eagles, and Bills on the road? Which one would you take? Miami, which hasn't won against a team with a winning record, home or away, since September 25th of last year, or the Dallas Cowboys?
What's interesting is you could have fooled me and made that a trick question, and both of those things were the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like, what they don't win on the road, and they don't beat good teams.
Yeah. So you're just saying it's Dallas.
I think Dallas is the team that you trust the least. Like Miami, there's certainly questions.
Yeah.
But number one, McDaniels I trust more as a coach than McCarthy, which is weird because, one of them has a Super Bowl, but again, adjustments, things of that nature, optimization. But I also have not seen Tua blow it horribly over and over and over and over again at literally every impact point.
I mean, it has been the crazy thing about it is Miami hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities to play teams with winning records.
There's that too.
Which is
not
a crazy thing to think about. But their division is bad. And the good team in their division is Buffalo. And they get absolutely run out of the building every time they play them. Miami, this question is going to be answered, and everybody's either going to turn against Miami or hop on that bandwagon in these final 3 weeks because they have Dallas at Baltimore and then Buffalo at home to end the season. They've got 3 games against double-digit win teams in the final 3 weeks of the season. They will be able to answer this question for us. And I think with Dallas, the question has been answered over the course of the season. But when you look at the Dolphins went to Buffalo early in the year, they got beat 48-20. They go to Philly earlier this season. They get beat 31-17. They play the Chiefs at home and they lose by a touchdown to Kansas City, which is not the same Kansas City that we've seen. It's all started. The pattern is there, right? Like the pattern is there. Like they only have 3 losses, but they've been against the 3 best teams that they've played all season long. So, but they have the ability to run the score up on bad teams too. They're very similar in that regard. But I'm with you in that there is more of a trust that I have in Mike McDaniel, and I think it's just because we have not seen him for as long as we've seen Mike McCarthy go through this before.
We've seen McCarthy make the errors. Like, he's lived long enough to become the villain.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it's the same thing for Tua. We've seen Dak poop the bed over and over and over. Tua, we just thought wasn't very good. We haven't seen him get to the top and then crater.
Yeah.
So
we're going to have an opportunity the final 3 weeks.
Let's see how he looks when he craters or if he doesn't.
And then we're going to have an opportunity to see him in the playoffs too, because I sit there, they have not locked up their playoff spot yet. They're 10-4 on the season. They haven't locked up that playoff spot, but I have a feeling that 10 wins is going to get you in, whether it's a wild card or a divisional winner. But with the way that Buffalo has played the last 2 weeks, you're looking at a Buffalo team that all of a sudden the AFC East, which everybody was handing it to the Miami Dolphins, it's back up for grabs, man. It is back up for grabs because of that schedule that Miami has remaining. And then the fact that Buffalo, before they play Miami to end the regular season, they get the Chargers and the Patriots. Like, they get 2 teams that have folded it up. They have pushed the chips to the middle of the table and said, all right,
they're tune-up games.
We're out. We're out. We're not doing this anymore. We're bunk. This thing is done. And so you get those 2 games, you're going to be looking at potentially the end of the season, both of those teams at 10-6 with the division on the line. And if Miami wins that game, they get the division. If Buffalo wins it, they get the division. And it's theirs in their back pocket because, boy, Dallas and Baltimore at the end of the season, that's a tough 2 games prior to playing Buffalo, but you don't have to go to Western New York.
Quite the difference between the 2, yeah.
You get them in Miami. But go ahead and vote on that poll at Danny and Dusty on Twitter, or you can text us at 503-864-6326. All right, hour number 2. Let's get to more of this NFL because we had the 49ers absolutely throttled the Cardinals in the second half of that game in Arizona. And Brock Purdy had quite the statement afterwards. Danny Dusty on the Fan. new fancy vehicles in the Odyssey app or at 1080thefan.com or youtube.com/1080am the fan. Look, we have so many avenues now where people can watch, listen, stream. It's great. And a little birdie told me more may be coming, which is crazy. Huh? How about that? Because it's so stable right now with our signal all the time.
Also, probably starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Breaking news. We'll be on Twitch.
That's the one I heard. That's the birdie I heard. Yeah. Tomorrow? Yeah. That's tomorrow, huh?
I'll have it up. I'll have the encoding done tonight.
I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to be on Twitch. Yeah. That's where the video games are played, right? All right, well, hey, cool.
It's literally just going to take me about 5 minutes and a button push.
All right, cool. Well, we'll be on Twitch, too, for you Twitchers out there.
Got the okay from the... No, that's okay, yeah.
Is that what you're called? Twitchers?
No, but
Tweakers?
We'll go with that. We'll go with Twitchers.
Tweakers?
Yeah. Twitchers might get you in trouble once or twice.
Oh, really?
I mean,
what is that?
No, I'm saying like you might
with
actually...
the Twitch people?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. What do they call themselves? Oh.
Gamers.
Twits?
Yeah.
I had to be very careful with the way that I said that.
That's why I was like, it'll get you in trouble in the sense of
make sure you pick the correct vowel.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of, we will have more on this later in the show because it is important, but Malachi Nelson has entered the transfer portal.
Do we want to run down the
quarterback?
list of guys that have entered the transfer portal from USC?
This is just enunciation is important. Pronunciation is important. Putting the right emphasis on the right syllable. My wife, I love, bless her heart when she does this, but she'll get like a push notification on her phone and she'll be like, "Ooh, look at this." And she'll bring it up to talk, like, "Oh, I saw this in your world, right?" And she goes, "Ooh, Malachi Nelson is entering the portal." And I go, "What?" And I honestly didn't know what she was talking about. Malachi. And I was like, no. And she's like, "Oh, God, Malachi."
Somebody's never seen Children of the Corn.
She's like, "Malachi." She's like, "I had a Malachi in my class." And she went Malachi on me. I was like, yeah, sporting is hard. Sports are hard.
Malachi sounds like somebody from Kansas.
Yeah, but the way she said it, she was like, "Malachi Nelson." And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
The confidence is nice. I like that.
You just got to push right through it.
Yeah, I like it.
Push right through it.
Malachi sounds like a table game at a way off strip casino.
You Vegas Vacation. Vegas Vacation. No. You're playing Malachi there.
This is the
right next to War.
The game that Bernie Mac pitches in Ocean's 11.
There we go. Right?
There we go.
Andy Garcia.
To perfect.
Malachi.
I'll take it.
Because it came from the Mississippi riverboat casinos.
Perfect.
See, I don't look bad.
I'm in.
I like my Ocean's 11. All right.
I'll play a little game called Malachi. I like Bernie Mac.
Oh, God, right?
Bernie Mac was fantastic.
I watched Kings of Comedy like 2 weeks ago, just because.
Players Club, great movie.
Oh, yeah, it was
great movie.
Great movie.
Very underrated role in Bad Santa as well.
Fantastic mall manager.
Yeah.
Or he was
the store manager.
Store manager.
Yeah.
Mall manager is John Ritter.
Yeah. Oh God, all dead.
Oh. Except for Billy Bob Thornton.
Except for the one that you
still alive.
Yeah. It's all that Angelina Jolie blood around his neck.
It's not the drugs, it's the blood.
All right. Sport. Yesterday, Brock Purdy had himself a day, made a case for MVP because he is the odds-on favorite. It was a minus 300 now for the MVP award. 16 of 25, 242, and 4 touchdowns in a rout of the Arizona Cardinals. But he was asked after the game, "Hey, are you the real MVP of your team? Are you even the best player on your team?"
Dude, I think Christian should be MVP. I really do believe that. He does everything for us. Runs the ball well, can catch the ball. He does everything. And so, in my eyes, that's an MVP.
18 carries, 115 yards, 5 catches, 72 yards, a total of 3 touchdowns on the day for Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he really can do it all, man. He really can. And we talked about this last week. You and I, neither of us believed in Dak Prescott, and I believe that Dak Prescott, with his performance in Buffalo, he lost himself the MVP in that conversation. And look, he wasn't. He was playing really good. He was not the most valuable player in the National Football League. But we are in a year where we talked about this with the Heisman, right? Is it a down year for the Heisman? Or is it just you got a lot of guys that were deserving of it? I think this year in the NFL, it's really fun because you have a lot of guys that should be in that conversation. And Brock Purdy is one of them because he is not a game manager, and he should not be called a game manager, Cam Newton, or anybody else. I think we need to find like a new term for what a guy like Brock Purdy is, or hell, even Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott is not a game manager either. Mm-hmm. They're more game controllers, right? Game controllers, where you're not just managing what is happening with all of the weapons around you, but you are controlling the tempo. You are controlling the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with your team. And I think Purdy is working himself into, he could be elite by, I don't know, next year, but he has got a wealth of weapons that very few people have ever played with in the National Football League.
And we also saw what it looked like when he didn't have those weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why you're a controller now, right?
He's... We didn't talk about this last week, but the whole Cam Newton game manager thing.
Yeah.
I think Dak is more of a game manager than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, that's why, but he's better than that. I think he's better than that.
But like
he's on the lower end of this new term, the controller.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
I'll be with you.
And that's where I'm at with this. And like everybody kind of wants to downplay Brock because Mr. Irrelevant and all the weapons and Shanahan. It's like,
yep.
Yeah, you know what though? We've seen 4 other bleeping quarterbacks in the same freaking position, and they weren't this.
Yeah.
So figure it out, man.
Mm-hmm. I think with Brock, he's going to have the numbers. And if you look at efficiency-wise, there are very few guys that have played as well and as efficient as Brock Purdy has, because I think when you have a guy like Purdy, with everything that he has, his numbers are going to be great no matter what because of who he plays with and who's around him. But the efficiency with which he plays it truly is, it's at an elite level. And there's very few guys who have played as well as he has that have not won the MVP. Right. And the only reason why those guys have not won the MVP is because, like, I think Joe Montana in 1984 was brought up because, Dan Marino just absolutely went cuckoo, and he had an incredible season. I think another one that you look at and you say a season that has been close but didn't win the MVP was Randall Cunningham in 98 when he had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, and Terrell Davis, ran for 2,000 yards that season. Very few have guys played as well as Brock Purdy has and not won the MVP. But what I love about Brock Purdy is he's like, dude, Christian McCaffrey, he is MVP worthy. We had this conversation with him when he was the Carolina Panthers too, right? Where Christian McCaffrey was a one-man band and he made that team relevant. I think also you can look at over the next handful of weeks, Lamar Jackson's going to be in this conversation, folks. He could win another MVP this year because he has the Niners and the Dolphins in the next 2 weeks. There's 2 games right there, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, where eyes will be on Lamar Jackson, and he could vault himself to being the favorite to win the MVP. But I also think that this year's a very unique year where position players should be 100% involved in this conversation. I said last week Tyreek Hill. If he crossed that 2,000 yard mark,
something has never been done before. Yeah,
he should be a guy who's in that conversation. Christian McCaffrey is one, but I still go back to the other receiver on that team, and Deebo Samuel, who runs the ball, who's a fantastic receiver. And if you watch Deebo go in motion, Christian McCaffrey is incredible. But when you watch Deebo go in motion, watch how many guys on the defense attract their eyes to him. And actually, he is a human mover in the NFL where the defense will shift entirely for him.
Football gravity.
You do not see that in the NFL, right? You'll see slight movements. You will see defenses wholesale change, and it opens up a ton for Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel, there's 3 guys worthy of it on one team and one offense in San Francisco.
I'm sure teams are doing this behind the scenes, at least smart teams, but the idea of gravity in football and what it means and how much a certain player rolls certain coverages over, how much it rolls certain focuses over, how much it rolls certain defensive line formations, stunts, twists, delays, whatever, blitzes, because smart teams would take that and build things out over it and go, if we see this, and I'm talking opponents against the 49ers, if we see this, Kyle Shanahan knows this.
Yep.
And so they're using this to set up Kittle, to set up McCaffrey, to set up Ayuk, to set up literally every other thing. And if we have a better understanding of just how much cover, you can think you're doing one thing with how you roll your coverage or how you shift to something, but if you're using the tracking data, it'll tell you how much bias you truly have in this stuff. And I wonder just how much, because it's not publicly available. That is not publicly available NFL data.
Well, they're tracking every single person on the field at all times.
Everybody has a thing on under their pads now. They track everything because they want that data. They want to be able to use that stuff to game plan. And I wondered how, and because eventually it will become public. Because somebody's going to break that open, and that's how it'll go. Some version of it, because it already happens in Major League Baseball and the NBA. Not only will it impact gambling, but it will also impact how you look at value of a player.
Yeah.
Because the value of a guy like Debo is like, oh, he only has so many yards. Well, what if he's taking the average wide receiver, let's say an average great wide receiver, I'm completely making this up, takes up 1.4 players defensively, and Debo doubles that. That means his value is literally 100% more valuable to you in a coverage scheme than your other great wide receiver. And if you went down the list of players who could do that, you're not getting that from literally anywhere else in the field.
And the Niners have 3 of those guys.
Yes. And so
they've got McCaffrey, Kittle, and Debo.
Yes.
And they take multiple sets of eyes.
And that kind of thing, when you're talking about leverage, that's the math behind the leverage, the value that you get. Like, and I'm not saying the value of like, oh, that's the value of having that guy in the roster. I'm talking about the actual mathematical quantitative value that you get from having that person on the field.
What's amazing though in all of this, and why like McCaffrey, he's able to feast like he did in Carolina when all the attention was on him, and he's able to put up these funny numbers, and his value statistically is eye-popping. I wonder if you gave Kyle Shanahan truth serum and you said, all right, most valuable guy in your offense, who would he say? Because he could say, you could make that case for Kittle, Debo, or Christian McCaffrey, because what's amazing to me about Debo is that Brock Purdy still gets him the ball, finds ways to get him the ball when all of that attention is on him. And that offense is so dang fun to watch, but you can't really take anything from it because all of that scheme is so advanced because of the fact that they've got 3 of those guys, 3 of those gravity guys. And oh, by the way, Brandon Ayuk. And that's what makes Brock Purdy so special, is that you see he is that step way ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo. He is way higher than what Jimmy Garoppolo was because he's making all of those throws. And like this texter on the Vancouver Ford text line says, I think Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams are as crucial to the Niners offense as anybody. It's no coincidence that their injuries coincided with their 3-game losing streak. Now, I went back and I looked this up. That loss to the Browns, Trent Williams was playing. He got injured in the first quarter, played the rest of the game. They only scored 17 points in that game. They are averaging 17 points a game. In all 3 of the losses, they made it really easy on my dumb math brain. They scored 17 points in all 3 losses without Deebo Samuel in them. When Deebo Samuel is in the lineup, they averaged 34 points per game. Doubled what they did in the 3 games without him. And Trent Williams was gone. That goes
to my point of the double value.
Trent Williams was gone for 2 of those games fully. Yeah, you're right. I mean, double the value. It is. You can look at it and you can say they score twice as many points when Debo is on the field. And Trent Williams is like, I do not want to take anything away from that man. He's the best left tackle in football.
You've heard me say,
They're so good.
Like I've mentioned him as if you're going to go outside the box.
Yep.
He's a guy you should probably consider.
503-864-6326. Let's go to a little bit of college football. This sounds really familiar. Next on The Fan.
What's your opinion?
when they were down in Vegas.
Yeah, this is literally, 3 days after USC and UCLA?
No. I'm talking about this year.
Oh,
we
no.
talked to him, and he gave us some flack. He's like, "Well, you guys aren't going to come down here? It's my last year here. What, are you guys not going to come down to Pac-12 Media Day?" I said, "Maybe we'll see you in Indianapolis." Little did we know, we would be seeing him in Indianapolis.
Yes, we would be. But what we're about to get to, Chip over the last 2 years has not minced words. First, it was football socialism when we were in LA. And he was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it was one of those things where we were 3 days removed from USC and UCLA defecting.
Yes. And he is not a fan of it.
No. But even with that short amount of time, he had some very, very poignant and specific things that he highlighted 2 years ago.
Well, right after the UCLA Bruins won their bowl game, the Gronk Bowl, I don't know, it was the LA Bowl. It's not Jimmy Kimmel. It was some company which
Gronk is affiliated with.
Is he?
I don't know. I'm assuming because the man has endorsements forever.
Chip Kelly, he workshopped it with us. We were basically the local comedy club. And then he's been workshopping this for a while.
For the national stage?
He took it to his Netflix special, which was the podium after the LA Bowl. And everybody has been enlightened to what listeners of our show have been enlightened to for a couple of years now.
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball.
Yep.
But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football. And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power 5, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of 5. And we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams, and then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent of time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together, that's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it. You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of 5 and Power 5, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You can do a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing. The players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty.
That last part is the biggest pivot that we've seen with Chip Kelly in the last 2 years since we first heard this idea from him. And also, we heard it from Jim Harbaugh, too. Think about those two coaches, too. The two guys that have been to the NFL and come back to college. Those are the two guys that are championing, look, these guys need to get paid. And it doesn't need to be NIL anymore, which is the wild, wild west, and you're seeing it fall through time
but it's also
and
not
time again.
It's not enough of the pie. That's what. And remember, Chip. Again, this is why I bring this up. Chip's original thoughts to us were football socialism.
That's what he called it.
Yeah, and that was him saying the players get as much of the pie as the schools because the players are the product.
Yes.
And if you think about professional sports in the NBA. 49-51.
Yeah.
Or 50-50 now on the 40, is that 49.9 and 50.1. It's essentially 50-50. But the splits are not what they used to be in professional sports. It used to be heavy on the ownership side. It is much more 50-50 across all sports.
And what I love about owners in professional sports is that they're making way more money now. If you want that money, sell your damn team.
Yes.
The value of your franchise has gone way up.
Yeah,
Go ahead and sell your team and give it to somebody who will spend the money.
More money than you will ever imagine, too. You will get literal billions out of it.
Now, Chip is basically saying, as we alluded to this earlier when we were at the very beginning of the show, when we were talking about the FCS level, right? Tell Montana, North Dakota State, tell Idaho, which has gone FBS and jumped back down to the FCS level, that their championships don't matter. right? That it does matter. And so what we would see is that break, and then what that break would do is the 64 teams that are Power 5 or whatever you want to call it, they play for their own championship, and then the other 80 schools that are playing at the FBS level moving forward, those schools will then get to play for another championship, and they can have successes of their own instead of going and playing in the famous Toastery Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina. You will actually get a playoff that you can play for, because we all know that the ground is not level. The footing is different for every program, whether you are a non-Power 5 or, hell, even the bottom tiers of those Power 5 schools. Like, has anybody seen what's been going on at Vanderbilt lately? People are leaving Vanderbilt en masse because they're like, I don't want to get my teeth kicked in anymore. No. I'm out. Sorry, Clark Leah. I tried. I'm out.
I don't need to do this anymore to be SEC.
So what we are seeing now is the haves and the have-nots are getting even steeper. They do, and look, all of this goes back to what happened in the 80s, which was a court ruling saying, no, you can't just have one blanket television contract, NCAA. You can't just operate under one TV contract. Every conference can go out and negotiate their own TV deal. So what eventually ended up breaking college football up as we know it, ending the Pac-12 as we know it, which was TV money, it could be what brings Oregon State and Washington State back into a power, and they operate under one umbrella, one big conference where you have you regionalize the sports in football and basketball in this case. And then you say, all right, just like the NFL does, where you have your crossover divisions every year, you have a crossover division that you play against every year. And you go, and it is cyclical, and you may not play the same teams every year, but you'll go down, people will be able to mark their calendars and say, hey, instead of non-conference games being scheduled 10 years in advance, you can just look at the schedule and you'll know in 5 years, we got a trip to Alabama. In 6 years, Alabama comes back to us. Look at that. And then in 7 years, we go to a Big Ten area. And then in 8 years, they come back to us. You can regionalize your sports and still have the natural rivalries of an area, but still have that power, the one umbrella, in the power conferences end up playing each other in a playoff. It will work. And guess what? It's been working because you have a 16-team playoff in every other division in football except for the FBS. And it's ridiculous when I hear people say, oh, man, well, they're going to be playing like 16 games a year. Really? Because Montana is going to be playing in their 16th game this year.
Weird. It's almost like we're already there.
And it's only 2 teams that will play 16 games. Everybody else plays 15, 14, 13, or some will even only play 12. And that's it's still going to work out.
Whee!
Wow. It's so weird. Or you only play 11 regular season games, and then you regionalize these conferences, the ones that you don't cross over with, right? The pods that you don't cross over with. You say, all right, for the 12th game, the worst team in our region will play the worst team in one of the regions that we didn't play. And you can find that 12th game really easily.
It's not hard.
It's not hard. It really is not hard.
They want you to believe it's hard.
And it will be better for the sport. But what the sport is refusing to do is have the vision to say, we're going to make a big change. And we're going to try and do something hard, and it's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit. It is beyond me how anybody in a position of power can look at what is going on to the landscape of college football and say, yeah, we should continue down this path.
They can't. And that's why you have the NCAA right now trying to justify their continued existence, because they have to try to justify it because it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
It's that simple. All right, coming up next on our Worst Day on the Web, Anthony Edwards just can't shut up, and he can't stay out of the stupid. The man is a stupid magnet. But first, someone who's not a stupid magnet. The Big Kahuna Sports Center Update.
I don't know. He works with us.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. The classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tanasbourne, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, Week 15 in the NFL wraps up tonight with the Seahawks hosting the Eagles on Monday Night Football right here on The Fan. Coverage starts at 3 o'clock immediately following Danny and Dusty. It's a 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. Geno Smith reportedly a long shot with a groin injury. The Seahawks have activated quarterback Sean Mannion off the practice squad. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts also questionable due to illness, but is expected to give it a go. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reports Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell suffered a torn ACL last night against the Jaguars and will miss the rest of the season. Steelers safety DeMonte Kazee has been suspended for the rest of the regular season and any potential playoff games for repeated violations of player safety rules. He was ejected Saturday after an illegal hit that left Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. concussed. Trailblazers are off tonight after losses to the Mavericks and Warriors over the weekend. They host Kevin Durant and the Suns tomorrow night. Portland has lost 7 straight and 16 of their last 19. They sit at 6-19 on the season, the league's 4th worst record. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Stupid Magnet Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan. Today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
I've had a lot of people over the last, year and a half ask me this question. I've talked to you about this off air. Mm-hmm. Would I rather have Tyrese Halliburton or Ant Edwards going forward?
Yeah, Halliburton.
And I said this last year. There's something about Halliburton that I just love, not only as a player, but as a leader and a guy that you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
Ant Edwards last year, this has already been kind of memory hold, had a IG post that was wildly inflammatory and targeted towards a group of gay men outside of a gay club.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's just, he's young and dumb and da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, dude, what?
When you continue to step in it time and time again.
Yeah, and this is not, there's been other stuff along the way, but this is another documented case where Anthony Edwards, this is from ESPN this morning, Minnesota Timberwolves guard Anthony Edwards is publicly walking back comments he made to a woman that appear to urge her to get an abortion. I'm going to go ahead and take Jamal Collier's name out of this and use this as mine. He paid a woman to get an abortion. We have the text messages. It doesn't appear that he urged a woman to get an abortion. Mm-hmm. He said, here's $100,000, go get an abortion.
Mm-hmm. Not going to sit well with a lot of people out there.
I don't care where you sit on pro-life, pro-choice, whatever. That's your prerogative. But it's just another bad look for a guy who's like, just
continually
stop
bad looks.
Stepping in it, dude. So for those that don't know the backstory to this, Anthony Edwards was involved with an IG model, the young trappings, as it were, of an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
They out there.
A lot of them are.
And they will get your money.
One way or another.
One way or another, it will happen.
Yep.
And he slept with this woman, and she was pregnant. And he repeatedly asked her to get an abortion and then said he would send her $100,000 to have the abortion because she did not want to have the abortion.
Whoa.
Yeah, she said she had one already, and she did not like the idea of having to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then he followed it up with send the video.
Over and
Where's
over
the video?
and over again, wanting confirmation that she had got. Now that's a weird move in and of itself to request the video over and over and over and over and over again. But now it wasn't just like a doctor doing. He wanted her to take a pill. Is that right?
An at-home kit.
Oh my gosh. And so she's like, okay, I'm done with this. And she started releasing all of the correspondence, correct?
Yes. So the original text thread when Anthony Edwards supposedly found out read, "Hell no, can't do this," and get a abortion.
Dude,
LOL.
Maybe you should have figured that. LOL.
Get a abortion.
Wow.
LOL.
And he thought like this is going to be okay. This is something I'm going to go ahead and do. I can't do this. Well, you know what? Maybe you should have thought of that before, bud. I think everybody kind of goes into that. I mean, there's going to be the risk of getting somebody pregnant anytime you have sex with them, Anthony Edwards. This is a bad look for him. It's a horrible look for everybody involved, to be quite honest. Releasing all of the information, having everything out there. Anthony Edwards doing this, my God, what is going through his mind? And then obviously there's a business manager or an agent involved in this too, with giving $100,000. Is that right?
Yes.
And there's nobody in the room that is talking to him about any of this and like going, hey man, this is not the way to handle this situation at all, because we've seen these types of things happen before, right? And does it ever end well for anybody who is forcing a woman to, or strongly urging and recommending them, especially after they say, I've had one before and I don't want to do it again, and you're continuing to urge her and then just send the video over and over and over again? No, this is not going to end well for Anthony Edwards. It hasn't ended well for anybody in the
I mean,
past.
here are the
Goodness
actual
gracious.
screenshots. I have an appointment on the 27th after showing the pregnancy test in a picture. Hell no, can't do this. Her response, so now what? What a great response. Because he didn't respond for any period of time, then get a abortion, LOL. Her response, honestly, I had an abortion with my son around 2 years ago and I regret it every day. His response, man, you can't force a kid into the world. You don't know what it is yet. Her response, as in boy or girl. That's not the point. I said I had an abortion 2 years ago and I regret it. Being cool to you is just not going to get an abortion by myself, and you not doing S and not going about your day. That's cool. That's being cool to you. Obviously, you've been through this before just by your reaction. His response, I will send you money to help you out.
Yeah.
She says, I didn't ask for it, but okay. You just don't want a baby. Is that why you're saying all this? Because I've been cool with you. I don't want kids. Let's handle this like grown-ups. That was what he had said. And then it continues. Like, I mean, look, I am not.
Don't blame her for releasing any of this stuff.
Well,
now.
he has released a statement too in response, which is totally. It totally sounds like it's written completely in his voice and not by a public relations professional
buddy.
at all.
It is so.
Where in that response is send a video over and over again.
Oh, everything that has to do with Aunt Edwards right now has a comment under of like, send a video.
Yeah, so here's his statement. I made comments in the heat of a moment that are not me and that are not aligned with what I believe and who I want to be as a man. All women should be supported and empowered to make their own decisions about their bodies and what is best for them. I am handling my personal matters privately and will not be commenting on them any further at this time. I'm sure he wrote every word of that.
Yeah. By the way, when she hadn't received the money that he said was sent, he said, my lawyers will handle this from here on out. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah, okay, Leah, let's handle this like adults, Anthony Edwards, where you're just like, yeah, lawyers will do it because obviously he's not one.
No, but his money talks for him. And that's what this is. And again, this doesn't mean he's the worst person on the face of the planet, but not a great dude.
No.
And again, I don't care where you stand on abortion. I'm talking about the handling of situations and the situations he continually finds himself in.
Yeah. What sucks is that this child is gonna grow up and this is gonna live forever. Right?
Well, no, that kid's not.
Oh, she did get the abortion?
She did.
Oh, she did. I didn't. I didn't know that part. You said that she.
Oh, she did.
She did.
Yeah.
See, that's awful. Like all of it.
It's all awful.
Awful.
Yes.
Start to finish.
So,
all right.
again,
way to go, Anthony Edwards.
This is why. Yeah. Worst day on the web, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, he's going through it.
And again, Halliburton Edwards. There's a reason why I fall on Halliburton over and over again.
A lot of reasons.
So there you go. Worst day on the web coming up.
Goodness gracious.
You know what? We could have had a coach come up for worst day on the web because this is not the first instance we've heard of this, and it won't be the last. Danny and Dusty, Tony the Fan. happen already in the recruiting world. The transfer portal is just kind of adding to the chaos. You were never off the table. You could always
as a recruit. Yeah,
even when you signed, you were never off the table.
Well, once you were signed, you were done. But hard commits, that's why the early signing period coaches want it, even though it is a big wrench in their bowl preparation. Mm-hmm. Early signing period, that's why they want one in August, is that they can get it done with the kids who are firm and saying, I want to go to someplace. They want one in August. The December signing period is good because then they don't have to worry about the poaching to happen, because once you put pen to paper, you're legally binding then. And at that point, that's when you can't get out and you have to sit out a year, according to the NCAA
Yes,
rules.
that's what I'm saying. But now, I mean, you do get the one transfer.
Now you get one freebie, and it is open. But at the same time, this is a hairy time of the year. This is why all of the coaches, Jonathan Smith, and I was saying this when Jonathan Smith took the job, and Oregon State fans were like, how could he do this, during the season? It's because there's a signing period coming up Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday is the early signing period. And guys, you're seeing already flips happening all over the place. And this is all because coaching changes happen. Mm-hmm. The poaching of recruits, and they go and they take visits, which they should take all of the visits they want. If you're not pen to paper yet, go ahead, take all those visits, because this is the biggest decision that any of these kids are making in their lives to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't gotten married. They haven't bought a house. They haven't bought a car.
It's a career choice.
It truly is. And that's why this story is just hilarious to me, because Texas A&M has got Elijah Robinson as their interim head coach for Jimbo. They promoted their defensive line coach, and they said, all right, you're going to be our head coach from, November 12th to now. You are a guy, even though Mike Elko is the head coach, they hired him away from Duke. You have, getting ready for their bowl preparations, is Elijah Robinson. And there's a big problem in this. Elijah Robinson has been hired as the defensive coordinator at Syracuse.
And Elijah Robinson is the guy, he's the recruiter for A&M, which is why he's an attractive party not only to Syracuse, but also Fran Brown is friends with him. So he's looking to bring in not only a friend, but a guy who is a recruiter. But the problem is that you're crossing streams, man.
Well, yeah, he's actively coaching A&M during the
bowl prep
morning period where they have practice in the morning, and then they get done. He flips on his Syracuse jacket, and he goes out and he's recruiting on behalf of Syracuse. And he was asked just a couple of days ago, hey, are you recruiting against A&M for Syracuse? And he's like, no, I have too much respect for that. Wrong.
Remind me again, where did that 4-star wide receiver just flip to?
There's quite a few of them, because a 4-star receiver, Jalen Hornsby, he flipped from A&M.
Bruce Hornsby.
To Syracuse. 5-star defensive line commit, Elijah Robinson, defensive line coach, committed to A&M, Dominic McKinley. He has a little brother who's also a highly touted prospect in the class of 2026. Elijah Robinson was in the home of an A&M recruit who's committed to A&M, recruiting him to Syracuse, wearing all of his Syracuse gear. Fadil Diggs, who started a couple of years for A&M, started, I think, every game this year as an edge rusher for A&M. He has entered the transfer portal. He is going to take a visit to Syracuse. So all of this, I'm not recruiting against A&M. He is 100% recruiting against A&M, and I love every second of it. Because if you are dumb enough to promote a head coach and keep him in that position, or promote a position coach and keep him as a head coach in the interim basis while he is actively on another staff, you deserve all of this that's happening, Texas A&M. You wonder why Texas A&M can't get out of their own way? This is a big flashing signal towards it. You still have him on staff, even though he is the defensive coordinator and recruiting on behalf of Syracuse right now. This is why Trent Bray escorted a staffer off the campus at Oregon State, because he was recruiting for Michigan State.
Actively recruiting for Michigan State.
Can't do it. Yeah. Can't do it. Even though their heart may be in the right spot,
look,
and like, I want to send these guys out on a good note.
You got to go.
You got to go. You got to go. Them's the rules. Got to go. But this is why I love Fran Brown at Syracuse. Fran Brown, he was the defensive backs coach at Georgia. And this is what he said during his opening press conference as Syracuse's head coach.
But they was like, why would he want to leave Georgia to come here? I said, you see how much money this man offered me?
He's honest.
He's keeping it real.
He's 100% honest. And he was honest with Syracuse at the beginning of it too, because this is another clip. Fran Brown, I'm becoming more and more of a fan of, because he actually is. They got Kyle McCord out of the portal.
When that happened, I went, Syracuse? I texted you. I was like, I didn't think he was great this year, but Syracuse?
And Fran Brown is like, I'm going to get people motivated to spend money on Syracuse football. And it looks like they are, right? But this was him when he was talking about taking the job and like, okay, what if you're just going to use this as another platform?
Now listen, guys, like I told you earlier, I'm from Camden. So every coach get up here and say, this is home, I'm never going nowhere. And then 3 years later, he trying to get a new job or a new contract. Guys, I come from welfare, baby. I'm good. I don't got to have that family first card no more. I'm here for life. I promise you that. I got that
dramatic
girl,
music.
Until she turns about 12, 13 years old, she 2, that's when I'm going to step away and go take care of my daughter. But you got my word. My name is all I got. I've been taught that my whole life. I will be here. I will bust my butt to be the coach. I watched other teams in the ACC a few years ago win national championships here, so it's going to happen here.
You can see why people want to play for him, right?
Wow, that music's...
It's very dramatic.
Something.
Syracuse really laid it on thick with the music underneath that. But he's sitting there, he's like, you see how much this guy paid me? Like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But then he's like, I've got like 10 or 11 years.
Also,
and
I'm
he's
from
like,
Camden, New Jersey. Like,
he's like,
this is as close as I'm getting to home.
I am out after 10 to 11 years. Yeah. I want to win, and I want to win right away. Let's go get it. And
pony up. Let's go.
Now you're getting Elijah Robinson as the interim head coach at A&M, recruiting against his own team.
It's a fun time.
The coach. This is why college football is broken.
Yes.
It needs to be fixed.
Why I want to see the NCAA burn to the ground. All right, coming up next, who are the scariest teams in the NFL? We'll get to that and more on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
tomorrow.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm excited.
I've got everything all made up. I just got to
ready to be twitchy.
Copy and paste the key into the stream.
Well, that's good.
Let's get twitched.
I don't know if when you say it, it makes me very suspicious about what we're going to be doing. Getting all twitched up.
Probably should.
Oh, man. This is of note. You said this just right before we came back.
It flashed on the screen when we came back. Damian Martinez is unlikely to participate in the Oregon State's bowl game because he will be physically unable to participate because he was sitting out while waiting on the status of the charges that would ultimately not be filed against him for a DUI in court.
Yeah, it was a big boost kind of saying that the old Tony the Tiger Bowl is going to get Damian Martinez back for the Beavs, but that got dashed over the weekend, which means he probably wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot. Or, your mind always goes to, well, did something else happen? Like, why would he not be physically ready and available? Probably just a few weeks off and the ramp up time too close to bowl game, even though they got what? And really that makes sense though, because of his physical style of running, the demand that he's probably going to have in a game like that.
I'm pushing back on you a little bit because he was out for basically 10 days.
And the game is what, on the 29th? So we're 10 days away?
2 weeks away.
Yeah, you can get him ready.
That's like
this. But the ramp up is very real, especially with how he plays.
Yeah, I get that. You're talking about a big gap between the last time he got hit versus the next time he'll get hit, all that kind of thing. But also stinky.
Yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
It's stinky.
It's a weird move.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm squinting at it and going, I don't like it.
Yeah, that sucks for Beef fans because you just want a little bit of boost that you can get at all at this point, right? I mean, you're gonna have Ben Goldbranson being your quarterback, undefeated quarterback. Ben Goldbranson. One of my buddy's wives thought his name was Bengal Branson. Bengal Branson, not Ben Goldbranson.
Because the way you say it.
Bengal. Again, nobody says Goldbranson or Ben. It's always Ben Goldbranson. So she thought his name was Bengal Branson.
That is a name. That
is a great quarterback name.
It goes from the whitest name possible, Ben Goldbranson, to one of the most kick-ass names I've ever heard, Ben Goldbranson.
He's got to play for LSU.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
If that guy plays in the Tony the Tiger Bowl, he'd be great. That would be the most fitting thing ever.
I hate you.
Yeah, but it needs to happen.
He's great.
Yeah. Bengal Branson. You put him in a tiger stripe helmet, let's go.
Bengal Branson better be like...
He needs to transfer to Memphis where they have the Bengals helmet.
Right, and then, I mean, it feels like, you know what, Bengal Branson his name sounds like a guy that definitely has a cowboy hat.
Yeah, well, it's just a different kind of hat if his name is Ben Goldbranson. Bengal Branson.
Bengal.
Both of them wear cowboy hats.
No, it's not even cowboy hat. It's Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
A corner turned up.
He likes to party.
Right?
Yeah, he likes to party.
Like he's got something in the band of his hat.
I think what you're looking for is not a hat. He wears a vest without a shirt. Like that's what Bengal Branson wears. Bengal Branson wears a vest with no shirt underneath it, a la Crocodile Dundee. Ben Goldbranson, he wears a bolo tie with his hat.
Yes.
And them's the rules. I didn't make them.
I think Bengal Branson also wears assless chaps.
Wow. You're just really putting it out there, huh? Yeah. Really painting a visual.
Bengal Branson. Hat, no shirt, buttless chaps.
Yeah, you just made him into a male stripper, but I mean, yeah, sure.
Bengal Branson.
Bengal Branson is, you get at the door. Oh, yes, I see no minus here.
All right.
Do you want to let the cat out?
Okay.
Meow.
Yeah. But Bengal Branson will be the quarterback.
Yeah.
Or Bengal Branson. Whatever way you want to go.
I effectively
Tony the Tiger Bowl.
An entire segment.
That's right.
Not too bad.
Be Frosty Flakes. Let's go.
Which means give it more and more time, though, to reflect. You know, it's good. I'm a hot rep. We're going to talk Blazers when we get back. There's a lot going on between a 7-game losing streak, where they are, what's kind of coming up for the rest of the month, and what to look forward to or not going into the trade season.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to get your ass kicked and have a close game all in the same game.
It's weird.
It happened.
But it did happen. We'll get to that and more here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Steph Curry's foot. Yes, Ed Molloy and his staff blew it.
How do they miss that?
I don't know. But also, Chauncey Billups screwed up earlier in the game using a challenge for a Jabari Walker foul that he broke all of his rules for to use.
But at that in that moment, though, can't the league initiate the review?
The referees can initiate it. I tweeted out the actual rule from the rule book. They can initiate it, but that's only if they are unsure. And they were sure, which is hilarious because even from where I was sitting in the media box, I could see it was off Steph.
It was pretty clear.
It was not even it wasn't even close.
Well, with the way that game started, probably don't deserve to win.
No,
when you're down by 22, but they fought their way back. And look, coming out of that game, like they call basketball as a game of runs. That was explosive diarrhea basketball because those runs were enormous. And it was good to see, though, that you saw effective adjustments being made. For all of the Chauncey doesn't adjust haters that are out there, you've seen over the last handful of games, the Blazers have been throwing out everything at teams. Is it working all the time? No. But the lack of adjustments crew, you should probably pipe down a little bit.
They threw literally everything at Luke on Saturday night. There wasn't a coverage that exists out there that they didn't throw. They threw a full court 2-1-2.
And it is not like we're sitting there watching heads just bashing against the wall. No, it'll work eventually. No,
they're mixing it up. They're trying it. And to be fair, they've scrapped their zone for the most part because they've been good in their man coverage.
Yes, but Blazers defense was elite last night. I think one thing that we all know is that it's a historically good defense because Steph Curry's 3-point streak ended.
Right. And here's the thing.
Elite. That's a fact. This is a statement of fact right there. Historically great.
And here's the thing. I asked Chauncey about this last night. The very first question.
So many mad people.
I don't believe it.
The very first question.
So many people are like, bah!
I had wasn't about the timeout. And it wasn't about the challenges. It wasn't about the ball going off Steph Curry. It was this. Do you think you waited too long to switch your defensive coverage from a switching coverage to a blitz coverage? And Chauncey's answer was a version of, look, man, it's bleeping Steph Curry. I don't care that we held him in check. The dude is still the dude. And you're leaning on, hey, let's count on the other team beating. Let's make rookie Trace Jackson Davis beat us. Let's make Andrew Wiggins, who has played like dog crap, beat us.
Yeah, they found their game against Portland.
They did, but the calculation they made was switch everything, keeps the all-world guy in front of you. Klay Thompson has been a dumpster fire this year. The man got his Burgerville back in town and rebirthed himself. He bathed himself in the holy waters of Lake Minnetonka, okay?
Willamette River.
Yes, exactly. And it was just... I sat there, everybody around me, we all everybody in the media section just threw their hands up like, oh, Clay's going to have that game.
Yeah.
But the game plan made sense. But in the final quarter, they said, Steph doesn't have it tonight. Everybody else does. We have got to stop switching, and we got to keep things in front of us. So keep DeAndre Ayton, keep our big back at the rim because they got hammered at the rim.
On the boards, too. Like the rebounding in Trace Jackson Davis. Good Lord. That dude played 18 minutes?
Yeah, in the second half.
18 minutes, he had 14 and 8.
He had 6 points and 7 rebounds.
And that's
the difference in the game.
That goes down to you're still not great defensively. You tried a lot of different looks, but it opened up other avenues for Golden State, who is a more complete team and a better roster.
Team. Yes.
To have their successes. The Blazers got a lot of work to do, but again, it's not the wins and losses. We'll say this again all season long. Like every time we have to talk about them, pump the brakes on anything that's too good or too bad because the steady improvements in what you're seeing, you got to see those growth moments, right? And I thought there were some of those growth moments that we've seen a regression from Shaedon Sharpe, which is the last 2 games. He has not looked like the same guy.
Really, last 3.
But you are also seeing Scoot Henderson looks like the game is starting to
slow
click
down a little
for
bit.
Him, right? And you're seeing, especially with both he and Ant in their ability to say, hey, these guys are old. They can't keep up with us. We're going to try to get to the rim. And they did it successfully. They at times have those successes. It's those little things that you're wanting to look for in this roster. And you're starting to see those little growth moments. it's going to be a long time before it all clicks. And it ain't going to happen this year. When I say a long time, it ain't going to happen this year.
It's a year and a half away before you start really making these judgments. This is what I always tell. Like,
oh my God.
People were complaining last night, like, oh, we're back to the Chauncey has to go stuff. And I'm like, I said this team was going to win 24 games. They are on pace to win 24 games. This is what nothing has changed. Nothing like this. They are who they are. Just remember they got a couple wins early because they had a free throw margin that kind of went their way. And I'm like, people are going to buy into this and think, well, if they just get healthy, they would like. Now it's all Chauncey's fault now that they're healthy again. And it's just, it's frustrating because this stuff is not linear. You're not going to see it happen overnight. And you saw Scoot a couple games ago he put the 23-10 game together, and you're like, oh man, that next game, that first half against Dallas may have been his worst half of basketball as a pro. He was horrid on every level. It's like he had the success. He's like, all right, I'm good now. I can, and he sped back up. That second half he had against Dallas might have been his most complete. And Chauncey just said, buddy, slow down. Pick your lane, find your groove. And then he did. And it was just like, he got them back in. Scoot Henderson, rookie, guy who can't shoot, Scoot Henderson, got them back in the game against the Dallas Mavericks. Not Jeremy, not Ant, Scoot. Scoot settled things down and got them back in a game that they had no business being in.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hell of a that is a step forward. But for every step forward, they're going to take 2 steps back, and then they'll take 2 steps forward, and they'll slowly build that up. But you have to build this up over time, man. And it's just like last night. Ant was he said in the post game that he was trying to pace himself. Okay, but he also said that defensively, he's still going through it.
I think I've been pretty well. I think this obviously everybody make defensive mistakes. I had a couple tonight, and I think I've been playing pretty well. Other than I think as a group we was terrible in the Utah game, but all in all, I think I've been a big change from previous years for sure. You know what I mean? I'm trying. I probably have tried to, like I said, get that bad defender out of my name. So it's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna try for sure.
He's got a long way to go, but the effort and the awareness. And how many times have we heard guys come through and say, like, be reluctant to say, yeah, no, I'm not a great defender, and this is just who I am. I'm going to be an offensive guy. I'm going to be a scorer. Mm-hmm. There is an awareness that he has, which is good to hear. And at least he's like, I know it's going to take time, but he's trying to get that stink off of his name.
I've seen some people say that, oh, now that Ant's back, the defense is suffering.
Yeah. And
I look at that and I go, no. What you saw when the beginning of the year was you saw some shooting variance. You saw that teams they were getting to the rim, but they weren't finishing as well as they were.
Yep.
You saw that teams were taking, or the Blazers were limiting threes, but opponents weren't hitting them.
Yep.
Now what's happening is the rim efficiency is coming back around, and the three-point shooting is starting to trend back up towards league average. And that is the difference in winning and losing games, because this team is still the worst rim finishing team, which is something they need to get better at. They just, you see it with Scoot, even though he's getting better. You see it with Shaden, even though he's getting better. Ant is the only guy right now that they consistently have that generates free throws. So the easies, they're still struggling to get, but you're seeing the levels of growth.
And I think where you want to use the caution and where you sit there and you're like, all right, well, they're still losing games. Like, how much better can it be? Look at some of the other teams that are in their spot right now. I mean, there's not a whole lot of progress that they're making in San Antonio right now.
Oh, God. I mean,
they have Wemby, who he has his highlights and he has his freakish moments. Everybody around them, like, if you watch an extended run of Spurs or you watch a whole game of Spurs,
watch the Pistons,
the Wizards. It is the lack of progress in any area that you're seeing from a lot of these teams. And those are like those little things. It's nuanced. Nobody wants to hear it. And it's not fun to go through. Look, you see the progress. It's a fun brand of basketball that they're playing, at least, especially when shots are falling, for goodness sakes. And it's not rip your head out, slam your head against the wall type stuff. It is, all right, baby steps of progress, little changes in progress in one area, a backslide in another, but is the backslide taking you further down the hill, or is it one step forward, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
Right? You want to have the 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Not the 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's the brutal part.
Yeah.
And that's where you're seeing in a lot of these teams that are going through rebuilds, that's the hardest part to hang on to and to keep pushing through, because when you don't see the results in the win column, that can wear on you over time.
And that's
when you say a year and a half. I'm sitting there, I'm going, okay, how long until we start seeing a little bit of regression and you start doing that 1 step forward, 2 steps back?
Yeah, and that's the thing is they've lost 7 in a row. You wanted to see them get one of these games, and being the big guys, we call it a vibes win. Because it's like you can't do 23 in a row, man. That Pistons team, they're done. They're gone. That locker room's done. They got to trade away 3 guys.
That's brutal.
Like they're fundamentally broken. The organization is broken. You can't. Everybody's like, I want to see losses stack. I want to be the worst team in the NBA and stack assets. You will fundamentally destroy an organization.
Like the Pistons are doing it with Monty Williams as their coach, who's like the nicest guy and can get everybody kind of going in the same direction.
And they're
gone.
They're done.
They're gone.
Did you see the Reddit post?
No.
There was a Reddit post.
I try not to.
This went viral over the weekend. There was a Reddit post on the Pistons Reddit that said, what would happen if you, I don't know, killed, I want to say half of the Pistons roster hypothetically,
saw that.
and instituted a disaster draft.
So brutal, because there is a clause that the NBA has
Like if
for the disaster
bus,
draft. Yeah.
Car, plane.
Or if you want to go less morbid, a mass COVID outbreak is when they were instituting this.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But that was more free agency rules as opposed to death, because the disaster raft is morbid. It is
very morbid.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's where Pistons Reddit is at right now.
Well, here's the thing about the Pistons. They're not going to get much better if they do that. Like they're not.
Because they might screw it up and they might just draft
it's
nothing.
Organizationally
they've got an owner that wants to do one thing, a GM that wants to do another, a coach that remember they had to pay Monty more than any other coach ever to be the head coach. A guy that didn't want to be there.
A guy who did not want the job.
But the money became so great that he was like, can't really say no to that. It's generational wealth that could keep my family going for a long time.
Brutal.
So I will unselfishly take this job that I do not want to take.
Can we have one last Blazer thing?
Yeah.
Because I saw this and I was like, what the hell's going on? Do you see what happened with Chance Comanche?
Yeah, so number one, Shams Charania working the Blazers into the tweet about what happened when he was quite literally on the Stockton Kings when this happened. For those that are unaware, Chance Comanche and his girlfriend are currently under arrest and charged with murder and kidnapping
of a Washington woman
in Nevada.
Yes, and like ditching the body in the desert. Apparently,
yes, the FBI
allegedly,
and they do have the body now.
Yeah,
so Chance Comanche. Again, former Stockton G Leaguer who was on the Stockton Kings when this was supposedly
and he
committed.
Played a game for the Blazers last year.
Yes, and he was noted by Shams Charania as a player who appeared for the Portland Trailblazers, not an active player for the Stockton Kings until he was arrested.
He played in a game last year.
And if you're wondering
when
why,
the Blazers roster was in upheaval and they were disaster drafting.
And if you're wondering why
picking
Shams
guys
would
up off
do
the
this,
scrap heap,
it was because Shams is a terrible human being who still has an axe to grind with the Portland Trailblazers after lying through his teeth about a medical issue surrounding Gary Payton II.
Well, maybe next segment you can tell us how you really feel about Shams.
He's trash. It's disgusting the way that he operates. I'll be blunt about it because I don't care about working in that world ever. On another note, as it pertains to players, because I tweeted this out earlier, as I guess you could call it quasi news breaking. I talked to multiple people in the Trailblazers organization. There is zero motive right now to move Jeremy Grant.
Okay. Well, now, and hey, by the way, December 15th, just a few days ago,
88% of the league is now trade eligible.
Yep.
Just about everybody. There's a few. The rest is January 10th to the 15th.
Yep.
So that's the remaining numbers. But
people can be traded.
Everybody I've talked to within the organization is very happy with Jeremy Grant, and Jeremy Grant is very happy to be here.
All right.
So I fully expect them to be active at the trade deadline. I just do not expect it to involve Jeremy Grant.
Okay.
So
that's Talking Blazers.
And that'll be the primer and the last time we'll talk about trade stuff for probably another 3 weeks. And then in 3 weeks, we start getting into it. The trade stove heats up quick.
Let's go get it.
All right, coming up next, what is the team that you are most afraid of in the NFL as the closing weeks of the NFL season are upon us? So first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Big's Chicken. Try their smoked and fried wings tossed with a perfect dry rub and served with a killer trio of sauces online at bigschicken.com. First on The Fan, Week 15 in the NFL wraps up tonight with the Seahawks hosting the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at the top of the hour. Immediately following Danny and Dusty, it's a 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. Geno Smith reportedly a long shot with a groin injury. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts also questionable due to illness, but is expected to give it a go. So the Seahawks are 4-point dogs. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reports Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell suffered a torn ACL last night against the Jaguars and will miss the rest of the season. Steelers safety DeMonte Kazee has been suspended for the rest of the regular season and any potential playoff games for repeated violations of player safety rules. He was ejected Saturday after an illegal hit that left Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. concussed. And the Trailblazers off tonight after losses to the Mavericks and Warriors over the weekend. They host Kevin Durant and the Suns tomorrow night. Portland has lost 7 straight and 16 of their last 19. At 6-19 on the season, they own the league's 4th worst record. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust, the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Hyken. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Television.
I think that outside of like the San Francisco 49ers, right, the runaway favorites that we have, I think San Francisco and Baltimore, those are the two teams playing the best football right now in the NFL. I think if you take a step outside of those two franchises and you look at, all right, you've got a lot of teams where it's kind of flattening off and you're saying, all right, is injury luck going to get a little bit better? Are the breaks going to kind of go their way? Can they get right? Kansas City. Kansas City's still terrifying. I know people are writing off the Kansas City Chiefs a lot. They're 9-5 right now. They've got a schedule that is favorable for them down the stretch with the Raiders, Bengals, and Chargers, right? 2 of those 3 are games that they should win, and they should do with relative ease, right? But that Bengals game is going to be an interesting one. Like the Cincinnati Bengals, Jake Browning did not look good in the first half on Saturday.
No, I was very comfortable with my bet in the first half, and in the second half, he decided to, I don't know, steal the soul of Joe Burrow.
But you know what? Like, this is the thing. He's been playing consistent football for them. That first half, like, it took them a while. And look, this is something that needs to be acknowledged about when going up against Minnesota is, I said this a couple of weeks ago, Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator is giving teams fits because he is applying pressure and dropping into zone coverages completely different than what any other team in the NFL is doing. And when you do not have a Joe Burrow, when you have a Jake Browning, it's going to take an adjustment, period. And can you make the throws and can you adjust and not take the bait that a lot of quarterbacks are falling victim to in the first halves of games, especially, is the big question. He adjusted beautifully, and I think that the Bengals staff adjusted beautifully. Helps when you have, guys like T. Higgins making incredible catches and reaching the ball across the pylon, and when you have the weapons that they have.
But they didn't have Chase.
Didn't have Jamar Chase, which still found a way.
Which is actually, look, T is a dude.
Yeah, he is.
He's
Tyler Boyd, good.
He's
Mixon, good.
I mean, they're not short on weapons there by any means. But look, this is why Browning's a backup, because the consistency isn't there. That's what I mean. Yes, there's a talent drop off, but the biggest issue, or the biggest difference between starting and backup quarterbacks, in my opinion, is consistency.
Yes,
the talent
and
for sure, but
the base level skill.
Yes.
Right? But you're right.
But it's consistency 100%. Is the thing. Like, because there's plenty of guys that have there's plenty of incredibly talented quarterbacks, but the consistency is just bleh.
I mean, appreciate great quarterbacking is like the theme of the entire week in the NFL, right? Because you saw a roller coaster. You saw a lot of bad quarterback play. We haven't talked about it yet. That Desmond Ridder interception at the end of the game was one of the worst throws you will ever see a quarterback make in the National Football League.
Are you with me on the Desmond Ritter's not good train?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I was. We didn't have, like, you wanted to write him off in week 2, and I was like, we haven't really seen him. We hadn't seen him.
It just wasn't. Just wasn't there, man.
But he has an inability to progress. But if you write guys off too quickly, you get stuck in Tua takes, right? Where there's people that are just like, Tua's terrible.
Yeah.
No, not really.
No,
pretty damn good, actually.
That's fair. I just, with Ridder, it was always just like, I don't see it. With Tua, at least you understood the.
You didn't at the beginning. At the beginning, he was unequivocally bad. He was unequivocally bad at the beginning of his career. He was. He wasn't making any of the throws. Like, Tua was not good at the beginning. He has progressed, and Josh Allen, same thing. Like, Josh Allen was not good. He was that's a guy with a strong arm. He doesn't know what to do with it. But you can grow, and we are way too quick to just write a guy off and not let him have that, especially young quarterbacks, like guys that bounce around. Josh Dobbs, we know what Josh Dobbs is.
Yeah.
Nothing changed, right? He was going to come back down to earth. And that's what the Vikings have done. And when you're talking about those dangerous teams, I look at Cincinnati as one of them. I think that the Detroit Lions, if they can get healthy, especially on the defensive side and up front, they are going to, that's one of those, all right, that could be a scary team. But no team is scarier right now than the Buffalo Bills, because for whatever reason, I think Tyler Dunn, he thought that he was going to bury Sean McDermott in the Bills with his article that he wrote, his 3-piece Sean McDermott is an idiot. He did not. He gave that team all of the edge in the world, and they're actually playing like they like Sean McDermott, and his 9/11 hijackers are a good team
Did you see the memes that came out of this weekend?
is so bad.
Did you see the memes?
No.
There was a photo of the plane.
I love how much you live on the internet.
Like, it got sent to me, and it was horrid.
Yeah.
But I laughed. I'll admit it. I laughed because it was so dark, and I love dark humor. But somebody put a Bills logo on one of the planes.
No. I'm out on that.
And then
nope.
And then it had the Cowboys logo on the towers.
Oh my! No, I'm out on that.
And I went.
Yeah, that
Bills
is
working as a team,
you're right.
huh?
That is.
Oh, it's
very
super dark. It's super dark. I know.
Lord.
I get it. I enlisted the next day. I am well aware of how dark it was. But considering what Sean McDermott said, it was. I mean,
you see where the meme came from.
It came from. It was like, oh, it's so bad. But God, I chuckled.
That team is terrifying because Joe Brady is back in his bag as a play caller, and he did what Kansas City is not doing.
Adapting.
He is saying, if you will give me something, I will take it. And I will take it until you stop me. And I love Josh Allen after the game last night. He threw for 94 yards in a football game. And he was the happiest guy in the world because they won by 21. And he was happy for James Cook, who went off for 179 yards. He was happy for his defense that put the clamps down on Dak Prescott in the Cowboys offense. That is a scary team because when they click, they're not void of talent. They are a talented roster, and they're aging on the defensive end, and whether it was where they're just kind of a diesel engine revving up for the end of the year, or they're going to run out of gas. That is a team that could be very scary down the stretch and have a schedule that will favor them. If they win the next two games, we said this earlier, but they will be 10-6 heading into the final week of the year. And there's a very real possibility the Dolphins are also 10-6 heading into the final game of the year. And they could play for the AFC East in home field in that opening round in week, 18 of the regular season. Buffalo would terrify me. Buffalo is...
I think it's the answer.
Nobody wants
because the
them.
talent level is so high on that team.
And then just think of it, like if you're the 2 seed...
You think you're getting maybe a little bit of a break, but no, you're not.
No. If you are Miami, who's sitting at 2, or Kansas City, who's sitting at 3, and you're looking down the barrel of Cincinnati or Buffalo, those two teams are probably going to be your wild card teams. Granted, Indianapolis does need to come back down to earth a little bit, and they've got the Falcons, Raiders, and Texans remaining,
which means they're winning.
Like this is the beauty of the NFL. Like there's so many teams, and we went over this last week, right? There's so many teams heading into last week that were like, yeah, we got a chance, baby. They're still squinting and going, hey,
I remember we talked about it. We think we can do it this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll put a little bow on this show. Somehow I'm going to work in this Old Dominion, Western Kentucky game that has gone absolutely drunk and has been playing
I love drunk
TV
football.
behind me.
This is why bowl season is great.
It has been fantastic. We'll get to that and more as we wrap things up. Danny and Dusty, Tanny the Fan.
When was this?
2005.
Wow. That's a long time ago.
I remember thinking, what the hell is YouTube?
What is a YouTube?
And if you go back, if you ever see like the screenshots or like the video, like the screen grabs, the live of what YouTube looked like originally, it looks so terrible.
Really?
Oh God. Early YouTube, like not only the video quality, I mean like the UI and like just the general look of it. It had very much like Pee-wee's Playhouse design.
Yeah, I remember that you couldn't like expand the screen at first. It was just like very small, and they had all of the ads everywhere, all over it. So congrats, YouTube, where you can watch youtube.com/1080am The Fan. You can watch us.
There is also another anniversary today. On this date in 1997, a certain episode of Seinfeld premiered.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it. You, Kruger, my son tells me your company stinks.
Oh, God.
Quiet, you'll get yours in a minute. Kruger, you couldn't smooth a silk sheet if you had a hot date with a babe. I lost my train of thought.
Frank Costanza, an all-timer.
Rest in peace, Jerry Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's dad.
Yeah.
Ben Stiller's parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
on
Mira.
the show. Yeah.
Because the Costanza parents were Ben Stiller's.
Such a random
false.
thing.
What? No.
Estelle Harris. Estelle Harris was Mama Costanza. That's not Ben Stiller's mom.
Oh, who's his mom?
Ann Mira.
Ann Mira. She's also famous, right?
She was an actress too. Way back in the day.
Oh, I thought they were both.
Nope.
All right. My bads. Frank Costanza, though.
Yeah. Tremendous.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we need to end this with bold nuttiness. Old Dominion was up 28-0. It's now 35-35 tie game with 19 seconds to go. We have had 4 fumbles, an interception, a blocked field goal, and this is a bold. For those that aren't aware, if you don't watch on YouTube, you can watch on YouTube. YouTube.com/1080am The Fan. Dusty and I each have TVs behind each of us that we can see things going on throughout the show.
Are you going 500 miles an hour?